UFC 308 gets underway this October the 26th. Absolute stacked card, but I believe I've got an absolute banker of a pick. That includes the main event and the co-main event. We're going to be looking at the over 1.5 rounds for value. In this video, I'm going to break down the Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway fight. We're going to be taking over 1.5 rounds in the main event and in the co-main event between Khamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker. I'll just give a brief summary on the co-main and why I think that's going to go over 1.5 rounds, but I'm not going to go into as much detail as you see in a second as I'm going to do with the main event. Anyone that watches the UFC knows Robert Whittaker, and the keyword I'm going to be using throughout this video, because it's relatable to the pick, to the over 1.5, durability. Robert Whittaker is an absolute monster. He's been in many wars. He's a very durable fighter. Khamzat Chimaev is just coming off an injury. He'd be very silly to go out there guns blazing in that first round against a lethal opponent. Against Whittaker, it'd be a very silly mistake. I can see his coaches telling him, there's 5 rounds in this fight, feel it out, man. And Robert Whittaker knows the longer the fight goes on, the more it favours the type of fight that he likes to fight. We've seen that so many fights you can go in his catalogue and go and rewatch. The longer the fight goes on, the more you could say it favours Rob Whittaker in that category. But the main event is what interests me the most. This is going to be an absolute banger of a fight. We've got El Matador, Ilia Topuria, against one of my favourite fighters, Max Holloway. Absolutely saved that UFC 300 card, as we all seen with that absolute buzzer beater of a knockout against Justin Gaethje. But let's break down these two fighters a little bit. Breaking it down, we're taking over 1.5 rounds and we've got double your money odds. Is there something the bookies know that we don't, that I don't? I can see it. I can see these both fights going into the late stages, maybe into the championship rounds. So let's start by looking at Max Holloway. 33 MMA fights dating all the way back 2010. 26 wins and 7 losses. 6 of those losses have been by decision and 1 have been by submission. How you fight 33 MMA fights and don't get knocked out blows my mind. Personally, I hope he wins this fight. It's the biggest fight of his career. He knows that, his coaches know that. They're going to be telling him that, getting it into his head, that this is the biggest fight of your career. Don't make any mistakes too early on. The last fight that ended in the first round for Max Holloway dates all the way back to 2015 against Charles Oliveira. It's never been finished as well. Never been finished in the first round out of his 7 losses. Now let's look into his attributes. So his striking accuracy, 48%, and that's a lot of strikes. So significant strikes attempted 7,023. Significant strikes landed 3,378. Why I like this over as well is because of his takedown accuracy. And Ilia Topuria, and we will get into that in a second, is very dangerous on the ground. But his takedown accuracy is 53%. Why I like this fight, is because of his takedown defense. Now his takedown defense is 84%. That's very high. Max Holloway is not really known as a grappler or a wrestler, but as you can see there from the amount of fights he has had, and he has faced some good grapplers. He has faced some very good grapplers, and to have an 84% takedown defense with that amount of volume in regards to fights and the fighters he have fought is very impressive. As I can see here, so in regards to his strikes landed, 66% of them have come to the head, 24% to the body, and 349, 10% to the leg. His win method ratio, 12 by KO and TKO, so that's 48%, and a very low 2, so 8% by submission, and then 11 by decision, 44%. Again, that entails to this over. So let's take a closer look at El Matador Ilia Topuria. Very, very impressive. His MMA career has started off very impressive. 15 fights, 15 wins and 0 losses. 8 of them have came in the first round, but you've got to look at the level of the opponents. Not a single one of them, bar from Alexander Volkanovski, that has had 3 fights with Max Holloway. One of them's a bit controversial, you could say. 3 wins. So his fight against Alexander Volkanovski ended in the second round, late into the second round as well, and that was by KO. Sorry, it was a great fight, to be fair. It was good to see just like a fresh face, but I'm hoping Max Holloway comes away with that belt. So let's take a look at his attributes. So his takedown accuracy is an impressive 56%. So takedowns attempted 16, takedowns landed 5. If he does win by submission, because he has 8 wins by submission, I just can't see it being in the first round with Max Holloway's takedown defense. It might take him a few attempts before he gets that submission, or I would say tire Max out, but this guy just doesn't get tired at all. And his takedown defense is really good, so I don't think we're going to see any takedown attempts from Max. He has a 93% takedown defense. Average fight time as well for both fighters. Ilia Topuria 10 minutes, bang on 10 minutes. Max Holloway's average fight time, exactly what I expected, 16 minutes. So he likes to go into the later stages. So I'm going to be advising this as a max play, so 5 units in total, 5 units in return if this comes in. It's a stacked card, some very good fights, but I've got my eyes on that and main event. My recent record with the UFC has been very good. You can ask anyone that follows me on my Snapchat, that's been following my plays for a long time now. I'm fairly new to creating content on YouTube, so I'm yet to make a video in regards to the UFC. I always do go with these overs on the early stages of the rounds. I don't tend to look at certain fighters winning certain fights by certain ways. Not saying that's a way to, not saying that you can't make money with that style of betting on the UFC. I just know what works for me and what have worked for me in the past. But other than that, if you could subscribe, I would appreciate it. As you can see on my channel, very new channel. If you could like the video to help it get put into the algorithm, again, I would appreciate it. As you can see below me from my template, I upload daily in regards to football, and we've just started with the NBA. A little bit of bump first few games, but I broke over 40 units in the NBA last season, broke over 200 units in regards to Premier League, La Liga, top 6 leagues is where I like to focus on in Europe in regards to the football. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you all have a great day.